Glenn Hoddle, who'd scored in the last 4 matches between Spurs and Manchester City, so I suppose his record suggested he would do something in the first game, and his free kick it was that was deflected by Hutchison for the Spurs equaliser, which robbed John Bond of a triumphant afternoon. What will happen, I wonder, in the replay tonight? So Wembley history is made, the first FA Cup final replay to be staged in this stadium. City in sky blue again, Spurs in white, and in the first half, Tottenham playing from left to right. Perryman in the number 6 shirt in this match. Glenn Hoddle. That was Miller looking for Crooks. Reid, who played so well on Saturday. Here's Crooks. Ardiles. Perryman. Now Ardiles looks for Hoddle. Will Spurs find more room, I wonder, in midfield? And the harassment has already started. Jerry Gow and Steve Mackenzie shutting down Ardiles and then bringing him down. And the referee in a marvellous position once again to step in, prevent any retaliation. The other players haven't heard the whistle. What about that? The referee is on this side of the pitch, trying to calm it all down, warning Gow and Mackenzie about their challenge, which was over-enthusiastic to say the least. Gow is getting spoken to, but so much noise inside Wembley that the rest of the players, away from the incident, just didn't hear the whistle, and they carried on playing. When it all cools down, it'll be a free kick to Spurs. To be taken by Paul Miller, number 3. Villiers up, comes to Galvin. Gow challenging. Graham Roberts. Oh, straight to Gow. This is Reeves. Tackle was by Roberts, a foul. Tottenham proving that they can compete as well. Point of some contention that about the commitment of either side on Saturday. Ranson to Hutchison. Challenged by Galvin. Well, City forced a series of early corners in the first match, and Paul Power can bend these in with his left foot and keep an eye on the near post, where Reeves and Caton normally station themselves. 11 and 6 respectively. Caton got up. Mackenzie! Away by Chris Hughton from almost on the line. Power. Well, I've seen Chris Hughton clear from there so often this season. He's on that goalpost there, and he crisply drove away that shot from Mackenzie. Corner again. It's come out to Gow. This is Mackenzie once more. They're looking for an offside. It's Reeves! Kevin Reeves was blocked by Villiers as he was about to shoot. Spurs came out hoping for an offside flag. It never came. Ricky Villiers was aware of his defensive responsibility, and he caught up with Kevin Reeves. And now it's Hoddle to Hutchison. Hoddle again. Driving one up for Archibald to chase with Reid. Good play. Ranson. Spurs are still coming out of defence. Villiers, good play by him too. Galvin. Villiers. Tackle by Gow. What a hectic start. And the fans loving it. Here's Crooks with McDonald. Still Crooks, foul though. That gives me the chance to bring in Jimmy Hill.
Well, as before, City have forced a few corners early in the game. Spurs are using a longer ball. They're playing just the same tactics as Saturday, with Perryman in the right back position. I'd like to see him in the middle to compete with the sort of tackling we've seen already. Gal's challenge, too strong at that time of the game, almost thought to be premeditated, but I didn't like it, and I hope we don't see any more.
Spurs free kick with just over 5 minutes gone. Miller. That's Archibald. This is Hoddle. Now Villiers. Archibald. Hoddle. Good one-touch play. Villiers. Away by Reid as far as Hoddle. He's looking for Crooks. Tommy Hutchison is back. Well, he'll prefer to go that way if he can. Hughton to Ardiles, but the free kick already given. Early to Archibald. Crooks. Archibald. And that comes back to him. Spurs have got 6 players forward. That hit Galvin. Keith Birkinshaw hoping Spurs can make something of this early spell. Ardiles. McDonald. So still Spurs with Ardiles. Brilliant. It is Archibald, has got a chance. Oh, good save, Ricky Villiers! Ricky Villiers scored! And it was made by his fellow Argentine, Ardiles. After 8 minutes, the man who was taken off on Saturday, driven in by Ardiles. Archibald was blocked by Corrigan. Good goalkeeping, but he couldn't stop the rebound. Villiers the scorer. Made, look at this by Ardiles. The skill is there for all to see. Brilliantly set up. Corrigan did awfully well here against Archibald. That wasn't his fault. And Ricky Villiers puts the rebound in between the two defenders, and Spurs are ahead. To Tottenham. This is Hutchison. And I just wonder if the City players thought on that goal there might have been the slight suspicion of offside. Jimmy Hill.
Well, I have a suspicion that when Archibald controlled that ball, he was at least level with the last City defender and was in an offside position. It was the shot that hit him. But in getting it down, I think you'll find that he was offside. And from what I saw here live and on the replay, I think it was a very fine judgment, and Spurs were lucky to have it go in their favour.
But they lead 1-0, and the left-hand end of the stadium, an absolute massive Tottenham flags here. Villiers again. He was crying on Saturday in the dressing room when they took him off. But just for the moment, he's celebrating tonight. It's only his 5th goal of the season. Reeves. Ardiles. Well, in the first half on Saturday, Ardiles hardly had any room at all, but he made enough there to be compared with some of the Brazilians who played here on Tuesday night. It was a tremendous piece of skill that set the goal up. Ranson with the kick. Miller, Reeves underneath it. And now Hutchison to Mackenzie. Oh, tremendous goal! Steve Mackenzie. Fabulous shot. An absolutely outstanding volley by Steve Mackenzie, only 19. And just watch this one fly in. First of all, Paul Miller up to head the ball out for Spurs. Then Reeves competes. Then it comes out again for Hutchison. And Mackenzie hits it. And look at that. 10 minutes gone, and we've had 2 goals. Ardiles for Spurs. Villar. In the way, Nicky Reid. Handball, was it? The referee thought so. Free kick to Spurs. And now they've got to get the wall right after what happened on Saturday. Joe Corrigan will be hoping Tommy Hutchison stays where he is. Because Hoddle could do anything from here. Well, what a start. 1-1 and a free kick to Spurs. That's Hoddle, hit the post. Oh, what's going to happen next? How close can you be? Wonderful view of it from here. Glenn Hoddle bending it round, and Corrigan might even have got a hand to that. That's Galvin. Ardiles for Spurs. Power. Reeves, play on to Keith Hackett. Good decision. David Bennett. McDonald. 2 ricochets. Roberts the first, Perryman the second. Archibald. Villar. Hoddle. Crooks. Foul already given. McDonald a bit late on Glenn Hoddle. Offside. Well, we're already back where we finished on Saturday at 1-1. What a terrific opening 10 minutes. I've rarely seen anything like that in a match of this importance. Hughton. Well, he always has been, Steve Mackenzie, a terrific striker of the ball, and what a moment to prove it. Archibald. Villar's in the middle, away by McDonald. Gow. Hughton was there too. Reid tangling with Villar. The referee looks round to make sure there's no afters on that, and play goes on with power. Good challenge by Glenn Hoddle, and what a tremendous ball it would have been if Archibald had just seen that clear the defender. Here's Villar. Perryman. Bennett, Perryman, Hoddle, and again Perryman. Bennett and Hoddle tangling. Gow coming in to help. Oh. And Tottenham dishing out to Gow. I was going to say his own medicine, that might seem a bit strong, but they're certainly not prepared, Perryman and his team tonight, to allow City to carry the battle to them. Power. That second goal, the one that brought City level, will go down as one of the best seen, I should think, in a Wembley final. Here's Villa. Ranson. Gal, Hutchison. Reeves. Perryman looking for Archibald. Tommy Caton has come across. Here's Crooks and McDonald. Reid. Miller. Caton. That's Roberts and that's Ardiles. Away from Mackenzie. And out to Tony Galvin. Roberts looking for Hughton. Ball was out. Well, after 2 goals in such quick succession, you have the feeling the stage is set now for the classic people were hoping for before Saturday in the 100th final. Here's Hughton, the Spurs. Runs on to Archibald. Now it's Villa. Hoddle. Archibald tangling with Bennett. This is Perryman. This is Archibald. Deflection of power. Bennett's uncertain clearance. McDonald battling with Ardiles. This is Perryman. Now Hoddle. Square of him is Paul. Miller with the shot. Came off Reid. Crooks found Galvin. Villa. And this shot comes off Gal. And away by Ranson for a corner. Roberts coming in, but he was climbing as he did so. And here's Jimmy Hill.
Well, we said they took 15 minutes to warm up on Saturday. They didn't need that tonight. As John said, we've seen more action early on than perhaps we draw praise. Here's Villa on the ball.
And trying an effort when the move broke down with a poor clearance, really, Jimmy, from Corrigan to McDonald.
It was indeed, and if they're going to keep the action going like that, there's going to be no time for comment from me, John. But I don't think they'll make the same mistake again here in City. It's very evident that Spurs are perhaps smarting from the talk of no commitment, and they're committing themselves much more fully in tonight's match. That's for certain.
There's Paul Power for City. Wide to Bennett. Power and Mackenzie in the centre, so his offside flag was up against Power. Just a word, Jimmy, about the goal by Mackenzie.
Well, perhaps we can have time, if not now, in a moment, to just get a look at that slow motion because of the other goal. But there's no doubt that Mackenzie goal, as you said, will go down as perhaps the best goal ever seen at Wembley in a cup final. It was a spectacular volley by anybody's standards. Bobby Charlton himself couldn't have done better.
And it makes the score Tottenham 1, Manchester City 1. Both goals coming in the first 10 minutes, indeed, in a 3-minute spell. There's Hutchison. Reeves. Bennett's on the chase here, and Aleksic's come. Was he outside his area when he handled the ball? I thought he was. The linesman says he was, and the referee awards a free kick. Now, Aleksic got booked for that in the semi-final replay against Wolves, because it is deliberate handball if you think about it. As you watch the long ball come in, watch the goalkeeper come to meet Bennett. He's come all the way out, he's over his 18-yard line. The referee has chosen discretion here. He's not booked the goalkeeper, but he has obviously awarded the free kick. This is power with one of his efforts, which counted in the semi-final, but doesn't count here. He likes to drive those from the right-hand side of the area with his left foot, as Ipswich found to their cost. 20 minutes gone, and Keith Hackett again seems confidently in control. On by Hoddle. This is Archibald, and Hoddle looks for Crooks, overhit, and Reid able to get back. Perryman, Hoddle, Crooks, and that is a City throw. Wembley bathed in the late evening sunshine, the floodlights on already, and the scene lit up by two thrilling moments early on in this cup final replay. David Bennett for City. This is McDonald. Graham Roberts across for Tottenham. Tooth missing. Perryman. It's one for Crooks. Policed by Caton. Reid supporting the other defender, but Caton was penalised for the foul. Hoddle for Archibald. That's a corner. Halfway through the first half, a corner to Spurs, taken by Hoddle. Here comes Perryman. Mackenzie was with him. Ardiles. Villiers. Threaded through as Roberts continued his run, away by McDonald. Then Gow. Now Hoddle. Perryman. Bennett back helping, so is Hutchison. And there's nobody that far forward for City. An offside against Garth Crooks. Hutchison, wide of him is Ranson. Quiet spell now for everybody to get their breath back. Galvin. Hughton. On the way, Hutchison. Crooks. Hughton. Now Miller. Strains of the Tottenham song from the left-hand side. The fans exactly as they were on Saturday, with City at the so-called lucky end to our right. This is McDonald. That was Power. Now Hughton. It's Galvin for Spurs. Mackenzie getting his foot in. And he'll remember that goal, Steve Mackenzie, for the rest of his career. What a tremendous strike on the volley. And the free kick's been given to City. Garth Crooks not very happy about the decision. But referee Keith Hackett signalling there was some backing in there. Tommy Caton has made his way forward on this nearest side of the penalty area to us. Taken by Hutchison. Reeves is near post, and Garth Crooks was back defending. Corner to City. As Kevin Reeves got the touch on the near post, little bit of panic set in for Spurs as Caton came in, but Crooks knew what he was doing. Caton and Power in together. Ardiles not sure of his clearance. Mackenzie back to Gow. Wide again to Hutchison. City still with plenty of players forward. And Ardiles sorts things out, at least as far as the halfway line for Spurs. But here's Gow. Good ball from Hutchison. Roberts. Perryman. Oh, and Mackenzie straight to Archibald. That could be dangerous. Galvin is free on the left. Archibald challenged by Ranson. It's going to come to Galvin now. Reid over. Archibald. Ardiles. It's too elaborate, but Chris Hughton backing up. Archibald. Miller. In the way there was Power. Oh, the back heel from Ricky Velia. I'm not sure it was intended for Perryman. That's where it went. That's a foul by Gow, right underneath the referee's nose. And twice now, the referee has made the point very clear to Jerry Gow. Ardiles takes the kick. That's Velia. Galvin is there, so is Archibald. So is Velia. And away by Reid for a corner. Hesitancy in the defence. The first 10 minutes gave this final a base of glorious unpredictability. Graham Roberts forward for Spurs. Short to Ardiles. Galvin. Roberts coming in, away by Tommy Caton. Galvin against Gow. Hutchison going across. City throw. Mackenzie. Careless. Perryman to Hoddle. 3 ahead of him. Crooks is the man making the run. Reid the header to Velia. Velia shot! Oh! Well, Joe Corrigan got in the way. That's all you can say. It seemed to knock him backwards from Ricky Velia. What an extraordinary save. Glenn Hoddle tried to chip Crooks in. This is Velia. And Corrigan, his left fist flying, kept it out. Roberts coming in at the back and again doing some pushing.
Well, it was an unorthodox save from Corrigan, but what a save it was. Equally good to any on Saturday because the shot was so unexpected, and unusually it was a mistake by Reid nodding the ball down there to Beer, which gave him that chance, and didn't he take it quickly. But Spurs are winning the midfield battle now. Gow's not looking so good on the ball, Hutchison neither, and the Spurs midfield players are doing well, but the central strikers are not.
As Bennett challenged by Perryman. Just over half an hour gone in this FA Cup final replay. Spurs 1, Manchester City 1. After a sparkling opening 10 minutes. Crooks in the way, Reid. Hutchison. Reeves. As Reid. And then Hoddle, little lob to Ardiles, got it back. Delicate stuff from Spurs, but it's precise, it's entertaining, and it broke down just for a moment when it reached Perryman. Ardiles. Perryman was caught there by Bennett. The referee keen to let play go. Signalled an advantage. Hoddle. Roberts. Miller. Again, Villiers well forward with Caton. Here's Archibald. Ardiles. It's going to come to Hoddle. Spurs calling the tune for a moment, but away by Ranson. Well, they say that a team is at its most vulnerable when it's just scored, and that certainly happened to Tottenham. The equaliser came 2 minutes after Villiers had put Spurs ahead. Villiers again. Roberts. Hughton. Villiers. Reid. Hoddle to Ardiles. Well, it played the ball. Power. This is Reeves. It's still Reeves. He's got support from Power. And he wanted Bennett to make a run, and Bennett stayed where he was. And that City attack came to nothing. Power, though, won the ball there in the middle of the field. This is Roberts. Bennett. Good challenge by Perryman. Tottenham are not hanging back tonight when it comes to the tackle. There's an urgency and a determination about them, which may have been missing, as Jimmy Hill said, in the first half on Saturday. Underneath the foot of Gow to Villiers. Here's Hutchison. Reeves. Ranson supporting. And looking for Reeves again. Over goes Miller. Here's Gow. Ranson. That's Bennett. Mackenzie was hanging back again, waiting for a volley. But Tottenham this time knew the danger and shut him down. Free kick to City. Villiers doesn't believe that he was the offender, but the referee says that he was, and Keith Birkinshaw wanting to see the momentum maintained. With City for the moment with the momentum, with Hutchison. Gow. Mackenzie. Here's Bennett. It's going to come to Paul Power. He's got Reeves on the far post. Bennett's in there as well. There's Reeves. Hoddle away from him. Gow. And a free kick against Tony Galvin. McDonald, number 3, is always a man to watch at set pieces for City. Reeves coming in with Bennett behind him. And Glenn Hoddle, Jimmy, seems to have won 4 or 5 very important tackles in the first half tonight.
Yes, he has. It's been a great improvement in aspect of his game. But the reason Spurs haven't made more of it is that, as I was just saying, the 2 central strikers, Garth Crooks and Steve Archibald, are really not making any headway against those resolute City centre-backs. They really are doing well, those young men, mind you. So equally are the Spurs centre-backs, and that's why the good midfield play is not coming to more shots at goal.
It's Caton with Villiers, his power. Header, here's Bennett. Reeves. Good tackle by Roberts. He's not been overwhelmed by the occasion. This is Villiers. There are 2 waiting in the centre. Villiers goes for the near post. Joe Corrigan, too experienced to get caught like that. Ricky Villiers signals that it is a corner, which is why Glenn Hoddle is going across, but Hoddle put Villiers on his way. The space slightly shut down by Caton and then by Corrigan. Here comes Roberts. There goes Archibald. That was McDonald's header out. And then it was Gow who got the ball away. Ardiles. There's Bennett. Hutchison. Shaking off Garth Crooks, Tommy Hutchison. Finally Hoddle in the way. Very much involved in the first half. In high again, and the linesman already flagging for a goal kick. Jerry Gow, who swung that ball in, but was pretty harmless. There's Bennett. Ardiles looking for Galvin on the far side. Spurs throw. Now, can they get people in support quickly here before City can do the marking? Galvin again. They can, it's Villiers. Nicely by Ricky Villiers. He's got Garth Crooks hanging back. Crooks! And from the throw-in, Spurs thought quicker than City. So often, defenders don't pick up players quickly from a throw, and Ricky Villiers there capitalised on that. Such a change for him from the disappointing first half he had on Saturday. Six minutes left in the first half. The score in this FA Cup final replay is 1-1, and here's Perryman for Spurs. Hoddle. Crooks, caught by Tommy Caton. Referee wants a word with Caton, and I think he's going to be booked. That was almost a replay of Saturday when Caton twice went through on Crooks. Just see what you think about this. He turns so quickly that Caton is committed and makes it look a bad foul, for which he has his name taken. Floated in, Ricky Villa trying to get his head to it, so was Tony Galvin. Robert still forward, here's Crooks.
Unlucky there, young Caton, to get his name taken. I think it looked bad, but he was going for the ball, and it was quite a clever turn there from Crooks, which in the end brought him on the floor, and the referee felt perhaps at that stage it was time to take somebody's name just to keep the thing calm.
It was on by Paul Power to Bennett, and Power goes again. Well, there have been some spectacular goals in the FA Cup this season. Paul Power scored one in the semi-final. There were one or two earlier in the competition. And Steve Mackenzie, who at 19, there haven't been many younger players who've scored in a cup final. John Sissons was one, I remember, for West Ham. But Steve Mackenzie at 19 will look forward to seeing that many more times. Here's Archibald for Spurs. Galvin is free on the left. He's got two others up with him. This is Galvin. Good stop by Corrigan, and before Galvin could get to the rebound, Ranson was there. Very swift break by Tottenham, and Joe Corrigan shows again what an alert goalkeeper he is. Just see how City were outnumbered here. Archibald playing it wide to Galvin, but Corrigan got the angles right. Here's Hughton. Blocked by Ranson. Villa. Hoddle. Looks for Galvin. Corner given. No, I would have thought it was a goal kick, and the referee, having thought again, having first signalled to the corner, in my opinion rightly said goal kick. I thought it came off Tony Galvin. Three minutes left in the first half. Here's Hughton for Spurs. Hoddle. Wide to Perryman. And again, Tottenham have got six players quickly forward. Hoddle, marvellous drag back by Glenn Hoddle. And warmly applauded by the Tottenham end of the stadium. Not so that pass by Hughton. Galvin, Power for City. McDonald. Reeves and away by Miller. McDonald. Tony Galvin finally stumbling into Ranson, but he gets a free kick. And here's Villa for Spurs. Perryman. In for Archibald. Crooks is trying to get there, and McDonald did the safest thing. He's a very economical player, Bobby McDonald. He rarely thinks twice when it's a question of safety. Hoddle. So coming up to half-time, with just a minute left on the watch, it's still 1-1. On by Reeves to Mackenzie. Ardiles off. Somehow found a way through them and then overran the ball. This is Gow. Mackenzie makes the run, Roberts is with him. Galvin. Crooks. Ardiles, good play by Garth Crooks to hold off the challenge there of Reid, who felt it was a foul, but the referee, who seems to me to be so close to every incident, and he too must have appreciated that patch of skill just a moment ago again from Ozzy Ardiles. Stoppage time at the end of the first half, and there wasn't much of that. But the game had an almost uninterrupted rhythm. Started off after 8 minutes by Ricky Villiers' goal for Spurs. Such a turnaround for him after the events of Saturday. A marvellous equaliser, struck with awesome power by Steve Mackenzie on the volley. City, under siege from Tottenham again, had Joe Corrigan to thank once more. And the skill of Ozzy Ardiles lit up the evening as the sun set over Wembley, and Spurs found themselves more room for the likes of Glenn Hoddle than they found in the first match on Saturday. Nevertheless, the score remains as it was at the end of 90 minutes then, at the end of extra time then. Spurs 1, Manchester City 1. The two managers going to the dressing rooms to give their team talks, knowing that this 100th FA Cup final is still wonderfully poised.
Just a reminder, this special silver BBC trophy to be awarded to the man judged to be the best player over the two matches in this 1981 FA Cup final. The trophy in recognition of this playing of the 100th final. And sitting in judgment will be Laurie McMenemy of Southampton, Jimmy Hill, of course, Managing Director of Coventry City and Match of the Day, and Bob Wilson.
Viasat Sport 2 brings you the UEFA Champions League. Some of the world's best football with some of the world's biggest stars. We're showing all 125 matches live or recorded. Hours of entertainment with drama, action, and goals. It can't get any better than this. UEFA Champions League on Viasat Sport 2. NASCAR, the world's most daring race, where complete nutters chuck themselves around America's oval racetracks 38 times a year. Follow all the races in NASCAR live on Viasat Sport 2.
Final at the start of this replay, and it's certainly been that way. Marvellous backing from the terraces and from the stands for both teams. Not quite what Tony Galvin intended, but here's Ardiles. And neither was that what he intended. Here's Hutchison. Played in low for Reeves to strike one. It hit his own player, Bennett, and was cleared by Hughton. Here's McDonald. Nicely done. Wide to Power. McDonald has stayed forward with the attack. And finally tangles with Perryman. Crooks killed that beautifully. Galvin starts his run, cut out by Ranson. It's Perryman. There's a bird still on the pitch over there. It was an intruder at half-time. It's still fluttering about. But Spurs are fluttering too. Here's Galvin. Archibald is coming in, and McDonald took the ball away from him to concede the corner. Well, the poor little fellow is still there, getting the closest possible view of the cup final. Graham Roberts forward again. And the referee has seen that the wounded bird is in need of greater attention at the moment than the players. The linesman has come on, and the reserve official corner to be taken by Glenn Hoddle. In comes Roberts again. Here's Tony Galvin. Good tackle by Paul Power. Very firm and played the ball. There's Crooks. Galvin. Tight to the line, Tony Galvin. Too tight. I think Galvin thought he was impeded first and wasn't happy about the decision, and the referee not happy either about the dissent. Throw into City. On by Hutchison. And now a throw into Spurs. Hutchison doing his best to shake Spurs off, and in the end winning a free kick. On by Reeves to Bennett. Paul Miller trying to check Bennett. Down goes Bennett. Penalty! Penalty! Keith Hackett had no doubts. David Bennett has won a penalty for City. Miller is contesting the decision with the referee, and Bennett there got Spurs into a tangle. Bennett is the player. Hughton is going to help Miller. Down goes Bennett in the tangle, and a penalty it is, and a penalty has never been missed in an FA Cup final at Wembley. The last one was 1962 for Spurs, and here comes Reeves, and it's there. Kevin Reeves keeps up the record, and Paul Miller unhappy with the decision. Kevin Reeves puts City in front, driving the ball right foot low inside that left-hand post of Aleksic, who went the right way. So let's see the incident now from what may be a more telling angle. Here's Bennett. Miller goes across. The right arm is checking him. The body is checking him. He was pushed. Hughton came in and finished it off. He went down in a heap. A penalty was given. A penalty was converted. And City are in front for the second time, if you think back to Saturday. Will they hold it this time? Reeves from the spot, the scorer. And the vast noise now from the right-hand end of the stadium. It's Hoddle for Tottenham. Tommy Caton with the header. Archibald. Oh, the ball thrown rather angrily by Steve Perryman into the face of Paul Power. The referee had a word with Perryman as he passed. Tottenham's frustration spilling over from the penalty decision. Crooks. Villiers. Galvin. Referee is going to give a free kick there. Tony Galvin, who went down. Ricky Villiers very unhappy about the challenge by Ray Ranson. He's going to get booked. Ray Ranson, that is. And the match coming to boiling point now as the City fans celebrate the second goal for their side. Ray Ranson is being booked. There's been a little bit of a tussle off the ball between Gow and Crooks, and away from that, there's also been an incident on the far side with Tommy Caton going down. The referee is trying to book Ranson. As Spurs continue to dispute the penalty incident, but they now have a chance, if they keep their nerve, of replying from a free kick. Perryman argues on with the referee, but it's all too late. The penalty was given, referees don't change their minds, and Reeves, I must say, in the heat of the moment, certainly made no mistake. Just let's get a quick word from Jimmy Hill while Tommy Caton gets attention.
Well, the interesting thing was, those of you that saw Sports Night last night, when I suggested that City lacked that final bit of power to get past the final defenders, and we showed young Bennett really not doing that. Well, in that decision, he really took his opponent on for the first time, and I think he got a fair reward, because there's no question, pushing is a penalty offence, and he was pushed.
Free kick though to Spurs. Low into Villa. Crooks. Manchester City 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Ardiles. Hutchison. Fouled by Galvin, and the referee's got his notebook out again here. That's 3 bookings now. Caton and Ranson of Manchester City have been booked. Tony Galvin now of Spurs. Tony Galvin coming in behind Tommy Hutchison, chopping at his legs, no question about that. Bookable offence. Oh, what a match we've got now, to be sure. David Bennett having won that penalty for Manchester City. Kevin Reeves putting it away. 2-1 they lead. On by Hutchison. Reeves tangled this time with Roberts. Hughton's back pass just in time. Aleksic. And here's Ardiles. Ardiles through for Villa. Tommy Caton is there. And, of course, Joe Corrigan. Ten minutes gone in the second half. McDonald for City to Mackenzie. Now Graham Roberts. Mackenzie and Roberts. Ardiles. Galvin. Spurs asked to come from behind as they did in the first match. Ardiles. Hoddle. Great stuff from Hoddle. Corner. Corrigan must have tipped it over. What a good save. And what a fine shot. Ardiles square to Hoddle, who likes them from that position. Left foot. Good stop. Hughton. Roberts, Miller nearly in there. This is Archibald, and his shot strikes the defender McDonald as he fell. Well, 1 or 2 hands went up on the Tottenham side. Archibald saying handball by McDonald. The referee is going to talk to Archibald, I think, about dissent there. He appealed for a penalty. He said too much, as the referee makes absolutely clear. Ardiles has come across to contest it, but the booking is for Archibald. 4 players now in the referee's book, and if this goes on, there's a great danger that somebody will slip up again and get sent off. Ardiles. Caton. Reid. There were 3 bookings on Saturday, 4 so far tonight. It's a measure of the commitment and the pressure here on Reid from Crooks. The flag is up. And the referee, I must say, has over the 2 matches always been well placed to make his decisions. He's always been up with play, although perhaps on the penalty he may have had a bit of ground to make up. Here's Hutchison. He had a good view though, because he didn't hesitate when the challenge was made, and he won't now. Gow and Ardiles, and it's becoming so heated now it could get out of hand. Jerry Gow reckless on Ozzy Ardiles, and Jerry Gow, number 8 for Manchester City, is going to get booked as well as they try and calm Ardiles down and shepherd him away. You can see again just how much intent there was. He just took the leg. Now then, let's just keep a check of these. 5 bookings now. Caton, Ranson and Gow of Manchester City, Galvin and Archibald of Spurs. And unfortunately, a fan has got across the barriers and is having to be led away. Never has the referee been more firmly tested than he is at this moment in these 2 FA Cup finals. The players are just for the moment allowing their tempers to get the better of the football. Here's Perryman. Hoddle. Ardiles. Coming through nicely for Spurs. McDonald intercepting for City. Hoddle. So the tension now spilling over into bitterness on the pitch. Something, in fairness, which neither manager would normally stand for. This is Hoddle. Ardiles. Gow. Bennett. Power. Offside against Kevin Reeves. With Ranson. It's a tussle that's got to be watched. Both those players have been cautioned, and so has Gow. Ball was out. Going to City. An hour of the match gone. Manchester City lead by 2-1, and they lead through what Spurs are claiming was a controversial penalty award. Hutchison. Crooks. Hutchison. Bennett started his run already. Play on, advantage to City. Mackenzie, good ball. Bennett looking for power, but Archibald comes chasing back. Hoddle. Bennett away from Hughton. That's well played by Bennett. It's going to come loose to Reeves, and the shot strikes Roberts. Power trying to retrieve it for City. Oh, he did awfully well against Perryman. There are 3 waiting in the centre. One of them is Tommy Hutchison. It's too long. And never have Tottenham needed this backing as much as they do now. Because there's a danger that since the penalty, they've lost their cool. Ranson with the throw. Galvin. Ardiles. Ophelia. Hoddle. Looks for Archibald. Tottenham getting players forward in support in numbers here. Hoddle. Touched back to Glenn Hoddle. Trying to go all the way, but there was just too much ground to make up from the man who started the move. There's Ranson. Bennett. He's turned Miller here. Well, you think he nearly never made this final at all, David Bennett. He's had two very powerful matches for City in terms of his running and his persistence, which paid off in the end when that penalty was awarded. That's a free kick to Tottenham against McDonald. It was almost building up into a feud there for a few minutes, Jimmy.
Yes, it was, and it was sad to see, but the referee took exactly the right action at the right time. It was strange how Jerry Gow was the last one to have his name taken, because if there has been an offender throughout the game, clearly it's been him.
Aiming at Archibald, away by Reid. Power. It's a fair ball, but Bennett unable to collect it. This is Miller for Spurs. Well, Tottenham 2-1 down, have got to take chances now. This is Graham Roberts coming out of the back four, and take a chance he did. And again, there was a very heavy challenge. Ophelia. Mackenzie. Not since 1971 has a team come from behind to win the FA Cup. That was Arsenal against Liverpool, but City are threatening to do so here. Mackenzie to Bennett. Offside flag was up against Crooks initially, before he tangled with Reid. There's Hoddle. Ranson. 20 minutes gone in the second half. Spurs 2-1 down. Ardiles challenged fiercely by Hutchison, but fairly this time. Hoddle looking for Archibald. Free kick given against Bobby McDonald, and Spurs will be hoping again that Hoddle can conjure up something. It may sound repetitive, but every free kick they get within range of goal is really down to him. And this is like Saturday, isn't it, with the two players to set the thing up for him to chip it. And Roberts comes in, but he won't beat Corrigan in that sort of tussle. Indeed, he fouled him. Just the same spot from which Hoddle engineered the equaliser in the first match. Reeves. Foul by Hoddle. Similar incident there to the penalty in a way, the arm coming across the player who was on the ball. Interestingly enough, the referee's given an indirect free kick this time. Hutchison waiting. McDonald takes. In goes Miller with Bennett. Here comes Gow. Lobbing it forward, that's Graham Roberts. Gow's in there again, he's a terrier. When they bought him from Bristol City, they bought a player who was always going to keep the game on the boil for them. Reid. Ardiles. That was Reid again. Galvin, who's been out the match now for quite some time, hasn't had much service. That's Gow again. City so determined. Hutchison. Halfway through the second half, and Tottenham are having their moves stifled at birth again, as they did on Saturday so often. As City impose a grip on the midfield. Galvin. This is Hughton. It's away again by Reid. Hutchison to Reeves. Bennett offside. And Roberts wanting the ball back quickly. Here's Archibald. McDonald. Power. And now there could be a break on. In fact, it's 4 against 3 here in City's favour. They've got an extra man. Offside, Paul Power. Spurs, remember, have never lost an FA Cup final. Before this one, it was 5 wins out of 5, but they're trailing 2-1 in this replay. McDonald. Mackenzie. And over goes Graham Roberts. Had 2 fine matches in non-league football only a year ago, but he hasn't been overawed by Wembley at all. Here's Reeves. Well, what incident we've had in this 100th final, in the first match and in the replay. We've had an own goal, we've had a penalty. And there may be more to come. Ardiles for Spurs. Miller. Villiers. Then Hoddle coming through, looking for Crooks and Archibald. Caton's header. Then McDonald. Always seems to have his body between the opponent and the ball. Good defending. Crooks. And McDonald sliding it out for a corner. "20 minutes to go. Spurs trail by 2-1. Hoddle with the corner. Corrigan's come a long way. Might have caught Tommy Caton on the arm. Not given. Galvin. Spurs think there was a handball against Tommy Caton. It may have hit him, which means it wasn't intentional. That would be a point to bear in mind here. Just watch number 6. Well, his arm was up. Villiers. Hoddle. Oh, the chance here for Archibald. Crooks! And the double act works again. Spurs stayed onside. Archibald went in first. Garth Crooks scored. That's his 22nd of the season. It comes after 71 minutes, and the penalty appeals don't matter now. Hoddle again. Amazing. He just played a brilliant stop ball in there. It slowed up for them, and Crooks scores. Glenn Hoddle again with a marvellous ball. It split City asunder, it beat the offside trap, and it's put this FA Cup final back in the melting pot now at 2-2. Keith Birkinshaw sees his side come back again as they did in the first match. And we think again about the possibility of penalties. Gow. Bennett. Mackenzie. And that's good play by City. This is Kevin Reeves. Perryman is in the way. Goal kick. Jimmy Hill.
Well, that really is another extraordinary twist to this game, and it's set it alight again in a way that you wouldn't believe. Spurs were just beginning to look as if they were losing their chance of getting a thrust, but I do have to point out that it was a combination of Archibald and Crooks right in the centre of the pitch that did the final damage.
And between them this season, they've now scored 47 goals for Tottenham. 2 inspired signings a year ago. There goes Bennett. Well, is it going to be the year of the cockerel after all? Or can Manchester City sway the match once more? And are we destined again for extra time, I wonder? Reid. Ardiles. Galvin. Trying to hold off Tommy Hutchison. Spurs getting players forward now, but not that far forward. Power. That's Mackenzie. That's Roberts. That's a fine ball. Hoddle. Oh, look at that. Villar. Hoddle. Spurs artistic football starting to flow back now, but they've got to guard against City's durability. Villar. Hoddle. Perryman. Hoddle, Crooks. Oh, look at this. Villar. It's a wonderful contrast in styles, really. Tottenham, who love the first-time ball and the silky touch, and Manchester City, who just refuse to let them go straight through them. Hughton. City throw. Villar. Archibald's begun to run across to the right. Perryman now. Hoddle is well forward in this attack. Here he is. Quarter of an hour to go. Villar for Spurs. Pulled it back for Crooks. Hit the defender. Archibald. Hughton. Galvin. The influence of the Tottenham midfield has grown in the last quarter of an hour, and the fans sense it. Tommy Hutchison went in late when Glenn Hoddle was on the ground. Fantastic backing from the Tottenham supporters, particularly at the moment. Hughton to take the kick. Villar on. Archibald battling. Referee says foul. Against Archibald. Garth Crooks trying to hurry them away and get on with the game. Bennett's making his run now. He's come to Mackenzie. What a good tackle by Graham Roberts. And now Galvin. Spurs have got 2 to his right, and Galvin wants to go on his own. Villar. And still Ricky Villar. What a fantastic run. He scored. Amazing goal by Ricky Villar. and look what happened here. The big man from Argentina went round 1, 2, 3. Joe Corrigan came to block, and Villa squeezed it in. Spurs celebrated in great style as we see it again from behind the goal. Just look how many players he twisted and turned past, and then got his shot in. So Ricky Villa has scored twice in this replay, having been taken off on Saturday. The tears have turned to triumph for him, and Spurs have got 12 minutes to hold out. Hutchison. Keith Birkinshaw knows now it's a question of keeping their nerve. Reid. Goal kick. Here's Jimmy Hill.
Well, the Man of the Match award is hanging in the balance once again, I would say, because in this period of inspirational Spurs, Villa showed his genius at that moment, but Hoddle has been prodding and prodding away from behind with a volley of delightful balls in the last period of the game, which have pushed for Spurs into a situation where they're in the lead for the first time.
Well, City now are going to make a substitution, and not surprisingly. Dennis Stewart is going to be thrown on as an extra attacker, and Bobby McDonald is going to come on. The activity on the benches personifying what an exciting time this is. Tottenham are trying to get messages out, telling their players to keep cool, but at the moment the substitution still hasn't been made. McDonald not keen to go off, who would be? But Dennis Stewart, who once won a League Cup final for City here, is on the field with 11 minutes to go. Archibald. Hoddle. Still Glenn Hoddle, and Mackenzie's back there. There's Bennett. City now with Stewart on the field. I've got to try and force extra time. 10 minutes to go. Roberts miskicks and then away. Power. Away by Miller. Here's Crooks, and a personal match to remember for Ricky Villa. Whatever happens now, he's left his name on this cup final in more ways than one. There goes Archibald. Oh, and Villa going in on Reid. Well, they all said it was going to be the great moment for Ardiles, but has the man who's lived in his shadow for a long time in the last 3 years suddenly come good? Big Ricky Villa. Hoddle. Ardiles. Galvin. Spurs 1 up, then 2-1 down, now 3-2 up. How many ways do you want a cup final to go? And so fitting it should be the 100th final, and it should turn out to be such a fluctuating game. It's always been full of possibilities, but more of them fulfilled tonight, surely, than on Saturday. Ardiles with the kick. Galvin. Crooks is coming in, taken by Corrigan. 8 minutes to go. Spurs 3, City 2. And bear in mind, City have now got Stewart on in the attack. Ranson. Hutchison. Crooks. Well, Tottenham Hotspur, when there's a one at the end of the year, they say it's their turn. And what a chance they've got now of winning the FA Cup in 1981. They lead 3-2 with 7 minutes to go. The goal scorers, Crooks and Villiers. And Manchester City, after what for them has been a quite astonishing season in some ways, asked to produce some more drama. On by Archibald. Hoddle. And there's Crooks. And here's Villiers. Oh. It's amazing what confidence can do. Perryman. Archibald. Hoddle. Still Hoddle. Look at that. There's been so much excitement in the last few minutes, it's been hard to find time for Jimmy Hill, but here he is.
Well, I'm as confused as everyone, saying Spurs are in the lead for the first time. Of course, they held the lead for seconds in the first half, but it is an extraordinary game. I just hope that in the end, whoever loses, they are able to show us how to lose just as well as they've showed how to entertain in both matches.
6 minutes to go. Tottenham Hotspur 3, Manchester City 2. Ardiles, who's played with great aplomb in the middle of the field tonight, quietly in comparison to Villiers perhaps, but their influence on this cup final will be part of Wembley history. Villiers again, extravagant now in the back pass, which Aleksic manages to just keep inside the line. At the moment, the stadium is a sea of white flags, and here goes Crooks. Reid across. Spurs lifted their game just when it mattered. They've now got 5 minutes to hold on. But knowing Tottenham, they'll still come forward. Villiers. Tight to the line, a corner given away by Galvin. Villiers technically on a hat-trick now. Here comes Roberts. John Bond must be thinking now that the chance has gone. But don't forget his team came back in the dying minutes against Everton in the 6th round. It could happen again. There are 4 minutes to go. Ardiles. Hutchison to Bennett. Mackenzie. Oh, poor Miller couldn't get to him. It then hit Miller, not on the hand, says the referee, and he manages to force it away from Bennett. There's Bennett again. This is power. Coming back to Stewart. So dangerous in those positions, Dennis Stewart, but they allowed him some room there. "3 minutes to go in the 1981 FA Cup final replay. Spurs lead by 3 goals to 2. On by Crooks, looking for Archibald. How much have City got left? Hutchison. Ranson. Villiers. McDonald. Reeves is hovering here. Was it handball by Miller? No appeal from the City players. Miller checks with Aleksic. 2 minutes to go. It's going out from the bench now. The message. On by Crooks. Looking for Archibald. And Reid says he will not pass. Gal for City. Stewart. Hutchison. Ardiles away, and Tottenham could have an extra man here. Hoddle for Crooks. Can Crooks make sure here for Spurs? Joe Corrigan saw enough of the ball to make the save and denied Crooks the crowning moment. Crooks then just left his foot there on the goalkeeper. The referee went back to check that was all right, and we've got Stewart out left for City to Power and now Mackenzie. And on the watch, there is 1 minute of normal time left, separating Spurs from an FA Cup record of 6 wins out of 6. Nobody has that 100% FA Cup figure, and Tottenham have a chance to make history here. The 100th Cup final coming to an exciting climax. Crooks, Villiers. Hoddle with Galvin on this side. Corrigan's coming for him. He knows there's not much time. The linesman is flagging for a foul. Taken quickly. This could be City's last chance. Dennis Stewart. Jerry Gow. They've got players out on the left. Paul Power. Stoppage time now. Reeves heading it back. Stewart! It was close. And they breathed a huge sigh of relief on the Tottenham bench then. Dennis Stewart, with that familiar stooping volley, saw it go away. Glenn Hoddle says to Ricky Villiers, there's still some marking to be done. And we're well into time added on now by the referee for stoppages. But there can only be seconds, surely, separating Spurs from the FA Cup. Archibald, Villiers, Caton was in quickly. Stewart, and again he checks his watch. Ardiles. Archibald. And that's it! Spurs have won the cup, and Ricky Villiers, Keith Birkinshaw off the bench. The big Argentine got 2, Crooks got the other. Spurs 6 FA Cup wins in 6 finals in the year of the cockerel. Ozzy Ardiles has fulfilled his great ambition. He has won an FA Cup winners' medal, and it's in the 100th final. Ricky Villiers, 2 goals, starting and finishing a quite remarkable match. First, Keith Birkinshaw's team led 1-0. Then it was 1-1. Then they went behind to a disputed penalty, and City thought they were on for the cup. And then Spurs came back to 2-2, and Villiers had the last word. So Spurs, who shared the all-time record with the Wanderers, the first cup winners in 1872, of 5 wins out of 5 finals, now go one better and make it 6 out of 6. And nobody tried harder to deny them that than Big Joe Corrigan. 2 tremendous performances, but only a loser's medal. A World Cup winners' medal in 1978, an FA Cup winners' medal in 1981. And Stevie Perryman, in his 599th match for Tottenham, leads the team up these steps to collect the FA Cup. Steve Perryman, whose Tottenham career began here as a 15-year-old schoolboy when he watched them win the cup from the stands in 1967, started as an apprentice at White Hart Lane the following Monday, and in the last 14 years has been the model professional. No footballer embodies better the qualities you'd expect from a player who earns his living from our greatest game. And so it's fitting that in the year of the 100th final, it's Steve Perryman who takes the cup for Spurs. It's the year of the cockerel. Glenn Hoddle again rose to the big occasion. Paul Miller, who had the misfortune to be involved in the penalty incident, but it all came right for him. Aleksic. Ricky Villiard, whose 2 goals will be talked about for a long, long time, especially the winner. The equalising goal scored by Garth Crooks, and the little man around whom so much attention was focused in this 100th final walks away a very happy man. The path is strewn there with scarves, with well-wishers, with handshakes, with security officials doing their best to keep the crowd back. But it's all in the cause of celebration for Tottenham Hotspur and for Manchester City, who played so well on Saturday, who had their moments again tonight, who led 2-1. At one stage, their captain Paul Power receives his loser's medal. Led 2-1 indeed until the 71st minute, and then suddenly it went against them. Nothing that Joe Corrigan could do about that. All these players, Jerry Gow, David Bennett, Tommy Caton, made a contribution to the 100th final and to the replay. Steve Mackenzie scored a stunning goal. Tommy Hutchison, better remembered perhaps for what happened on Saturday. Ranson, McDonald came off towards the end, and even then his substitute Dennis Stewart could have saved it for City, but his 2 shots were off target. So Tottenham Hotspur, who won the cup in 1901 as a Southern League club, won it again in 1921, won it in 1961, and now win it in 1981 for the little Argentine and make it 6 wins out of 6. The 2 South Americans celebrate together, and if you'd written a fictional end to the 100th FA Cup tournament, I don't suppose you could have beaten that. Keith Birkinshaw has led Spurs to a major trophy, and there are plenty of ramifications in that. They go into the European Cup Winners' Cup now, a very important time for Spurs to be back in Europe, with a new grandstand going up at White Hart Lane, With so many players' contracts ending this summer, it was vital for Keith Birkinshaw that he had something to show for the way his team had responded to his coaching at the end of this season. And he now responds to the supporters.